Tennessee State head coach Eddie George, the Tigers make it three wins in a row. They knocked off Eastern Illinois 28-0 on the road. They're going to be at home for their homecoming when they welcome Murray State. Coach, just some thoughts about this win streak and how your team has been playing recently.
We've been playing some decent football. We played some ball that was well enough to get us some victories. Certainly, we're not a finished product. We're starting to find our identity on all three phases of the game, that being, offense, defense, and special teams. Really becoming a team in terms of becoming less selfish and becoming one and having unity and fighting for a larger purpose. So I think the buy-in is starting to happen from that perspective, but we're still a way off from where we ultimately want to be and who we want to be. We see a lot of opportunities of growth. So, this is another opportunity for us to get better against a formidable opponent in Murray State, very talented. Had some setbacks over the season. Certainly last week, this is not the team I expect to see on the field. This coming Saturday, they played against Austin Peay. This team is resilient. They're tough. They love to run the football. They can move it both in the air, on the ground. They're going to come in with a great sense of pride. So it's going to be a great challenge for us this week.
Mike wanted to ask about just Devon Starling's performance and how he's really helped jumpstart your offense against EIU this past week.
Yeah, Devon, I think after he did not convert the 4th and goal, really took it personally and started running with a sense of purpose and running like a man possessed. What helps him is, getting involved in the pass game as a receiver. He makes people miss in space. He very rarely will you see that first guy get him down. But he's learning to run with pad level, playing with a sense of purpose, and to be challenged when the ball is not in his hands. And that's in blocking and just being an overall football player with a high IQ. And once he gets going, once that running game gets going with screens and with him running off tackle and so forth, it opens up things downfield for our receivers. So we become a more balanced attack.
And how have you, in the second part that was, how have you seen his performance improve from the beginning of the season to where he is now?
Well, as a running back, you got to get touches. In the first half, of the season, really didn't have a whole lot of opportunities based on, the games that we played. SEMO was a blowout. We couldn't really run the football, and Jackson State got out of hand. And typically, you got to give them a lot of credit, really all our kids. But, specifically for the run game, we're coming in running a new system, a different offense in a short amount of time. So, for him to find his strengths in this offense and trying to grow within that during the course of the season is very challenging. So he's been remarkable in terms of coming in during his downtime, looking at film, understanding what we're doing as an offense, and how he can be the best running back he can be within that. And he's been fantastic.
I'm going to turn over to John Wright, who is the Murray State beat writer. Go ahead, John, with your questions.
Coach, this is John Wright from the Murray Ledger and Times newspaper in Murray, Kentucky. The first thing I want to say to you, I'm a huge, lifelong Oilers/Titans fan. Thank you for all you did for that team.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure and an honor, brother.
I will not be able to come down to the game. I got a personal situation going on, but Dad, the first thing I would want to do is shake your hand and say thank you in person. Really.
Well, I appreciate it, my man. Maybe one day we can break bread and discuss it over dinner or something like that.
Up here in Murray. All
right.
Next year.
That'll work.
Make sure to see you. First things
first.
Sounds good. It looks like you guys are on a pretty good roll. What has changed about your team as the season's gone on?
What's changed, I think, is their mindset for certain. Their approach, how they practice, how they prepare, the expectations of themselves, what they believe in. They're creating a lot of the energy. They're responsible for where they are right now. I just basically give them the platform and say, here's what's available to you, and this is how you can get it. by doing things the right way. Now it's up to you to do that. And this team has grown tremendously from week one till now, and really week to week. And I think they're anxious to see, what their full potential looks like. And that's been exciting. Every day they're challenged. I challenge them every day. You step foot in this facility, you're competing. You're competing to be the best player you can be, the best teammate you can be, and the best team you can be. In that order. And they've embraced that philosophy, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
Sometimes teams go through the first part of a season, they kind of struggle a little bit. It sounds like that's kind of what happened to y'all. Y'all were a little bit slow start. Was there a point where you could tell the players themselves were saying, "Dadgummit, we're better than this. We can do it." I mean, did they take ownership?
Yeah, well, it was that, at the beginning of the season, it wasn't about the opponent. It was about us. We were beating ourselves and helping the teams do it. When you have 15 to 18 penalties a game, before and pre and post snap, that's stuff that you can control. And once I showed that stat to them, I said, listen, we forget about Jackson State, forget about SEMO, forget about all these other teams. We got to beat ourselves. We can't beat ourselves. We have got to learn to be disciplined, period. And that goes both on and off the football field. I challenge them as being students, as being gentlemen, as being leaders in the community. You address that issue, you're going to get a much better football player as a byproduct of that. And that's what we really harped on. Looked at the number of penalties that we were getting, stop turning the ball over, and saying, hey, what is our best asset? Our best asset is that, hey, we want to fight. We want to be physical. Well, okay, that's going to be our identity. And we want to start from there, that brick, building mental and physical toughness, and be demanding with that every single day that we step out on the football field.
This is your first coaching job, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was it about Tennessee State that made you want to make that place your first coaching job as a head coach?
Well, I wasn't actively seeking a coaching position. I was pretty much enjoying my life as far as being an entertainer, my business life, a father, husband. And I was asked about this opportunity by President Glover. And at first I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to jump into coaching. I've never coached a day in my life, and I don't want to put in the hours, and I'm making all these excuses why not to do it. But when I really pulled back the onion, I said, well, what is the win-win here? And what's the blessing here? It became evident to me that this was a gift from God for me to walk into, to help mold these young men to become men of responsibility, and to provide a set of principles and a self-development program that they can become better people through playing football. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I said, it's amazing how now that I'm 48 years old, but when I was 18 and even in my early 20s, mid 20s, all the things that I thought was corny in terms of, hey, be on time and be disciplined and focus on the things that you can't control, your attitude, your effort, and your focus, all that stuff. I said, I thought that was hogwash. My thing was, just give me the damn ball. That was it. Page from Keyshawn Johnson, just give me the damn ball. But now that I'm on the other side, I see how you have to establish a culture of accountability, of hard work, of responsibility, of leaders that are going to police themselves and create a high standard of excellence in everything you do and touch. That speaks volumes, and that goes for any organization, any business. You've got to have that culture and those bricks laid in terms of who you are, how you're going to get stuff done, and go out and execute that.
Eddie, you and Deion Sanders did this at about the same time. He down at Jackson State, You at
Mhm.
Tennessee State, and doggone, look what happened. Y'all met on the field earlier this year.
Yeah.
What was that like going against prime time?
Well, it was going against Deion's team. It was Jackson State. Deion has a little bit more experience than I do. He's coached on a high school level for several years prior to taking the Jackson State job. He was there a good 6 months prior to me, getting this opportunity. So he's about a year ahead of where I am. And that was a barometer to say, okay, what do I need to do to get my product to look like that one, that can be competitive. And it was from staff, it was from all the external things around the program, as well as the actual on the field product that we see in Jackson State. So I studied that. And we shared some ideas. He's talked to me about a few things and gave me a vote of confidence that I'm heading in the right direction. And that's it. But hopefully next year when we see him again, it'll be a different story.
Well, that goes back to y'all's playing days. You were trying to run him over back when he was playing.
Right. Yeah, Deion didn't have to worry about catching me too much. I was going to carry him.
Going from, you had many years in the NFL. Obviously, you were a star at Ohio State. You were as a player. What has been the biggest adjustment going from the player to now a coach? And really, you're in your infancy right now as a coach.
Yeah. I'm still an embryo. I don't think I've really matured or will mature yet, not for a while. I think the biggest difference is understanding that I got to get out of a player's mentality. That's the world that I come from. And I'm able to impose my physical will on somebody, whereas I can't do that now. I've had to learn to communicate in various ways to different people differently. I think you can lose sight of that how you motivate somebody may not work for somebody else. And I've had to learn how to know people and how to influence them in a way that is a positive, constructive way, but also showing that, hey, there are boundaries, there are perimeters, there are consequences for your actions if you step out of line. But I have the flexibility to say, I want you to be who you're going to be and have an identity about yourself. And that's kind of how I've approached it. I take it one day at a time. I listen before I speak. I look for what this team actually needs, not for what I think sounds cool or what's going to be good for the week, but what they truly need in that moment. And it's a moment-to-moment deal.
John, we got time for one more if your best question.
Talk about the staff you've assembled there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great staff with Hugh Jackson and Brandon Fisher as my coordinators, offensive coordinators, the position coaches. They have a wealth of knowledge and experience from playing and coaching on both levels of college and professional sports. The thing I love about my staff is not just their pedigree, but their hearts. They're truly teachers of men. They're God-fearing men. Our principles are aligned. They're in concert with one another in terms of what we believe in, both philosophically in football, but also in raising and developing young men and what this is really all about. And that was important for me. And I enjoy my staff, and they bust their tails every single day for our guys to make sure that they're on point and they're prepared and ready to rock and roll every Saturday.
All right, Eddie, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
God bless you, and good luck with your team, bud.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach George, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good.